Mom. How's it going?
I am having a fantastic day, Lindsay. How are you doing?
Doing good. Excited to be here today.
I am too. I am super excited because I get to host two of my favorite people that actually just hosted me. We have the honor of talking to Mr. Michael McCormick and Mr. Taylor Dobbie, who are the founders of Insurance Soup. Guys, thank you so much for being our guests.
Oh, thanks for having us, Carrie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's really interesting. I got to know you guys, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe now. Does that sound about right? I was introduced to you all, but prior to that, I didn't know you guys. In fact, I didn't even know what Insurance Soup was. So I would love, and it's interesting because I was pretty involved in the industry, but I was involved in this crazy little corner that wasn't a corner that you guys were in. So for the people that might be listening to this that are in that corner or a different corner that don't know what Insurance Soup is and don't know you guys, would you give us just an overview of how you got in this industry and what Insurance Soup is?
Yeah. In a nutshell, Insurance Soup is a community of agents and team members. Insurance Soup, the group itself, is on Facebook. Right now, it's a little over 52,000 members. We vet everyone coming in and, make sure that it's a pure audience. I'll let Mike kind of go into the details and the reasoning why and how he does a much better job. It's the largest gathering of insurance agents and team members, but more importantly, it's that family environment.
Yeah, it kind of came about as a result of us. Taylor and I met back in 20. We're actually going to have our 10-year friendiversary next year, Taylor. I hope you're planning something special for me.
Oh, I've already ordered flowers and got the bottle of wine ready.
I'm a bourbon guy. Funny enough, I'm not even really that much of a drinker. I'm not a bourbon guy. I'm like not an anything guy. But yeah, we met in a course all the way back in 2014 that promised the moon and didn't even really deliver the moon rocks. But the one trick that it did teach us did perform well, and it gave Taylor and I like a foundation to start working together around learning how to generate leads on social media. And we kind of came to the conclusion after we learned this one trick that where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be a lot more to this than just this one thing that we're able to consistently produce. So Taylor and I forged a friendship at that point. I'm up in New York. Taylor's down in Texas, where we are about as far apart in the country as you could be north to south. While we've got a lot of similarities, there's a lot of differences as well. And we got together and we basically just started challenging each other around lead gen and social media and all that kind of stuff. What began as the two of us basically getting together 3, 4, 5 nights a week and staying up until 2, 3 in the morning working on stuff developed into a deep friendship. And one night the conversation kind of turned to, the two of us have been sharing with each other, the good, the bad, the ugly, what we use, what we don't use, what we've tried, what we haven't tried, all that for so long. And in those conversations, we uncovered how come I've never heard of this vendor? How come I didn't know of that service? How come we were both captives at the time and different captives, and the Kool-Aid that we were being served from captive to captive were totally different flavors. So, one carrier was promoting to do things, ABC way, one's promoting XYZ. And the reality is both of them had components to it that were good, and some of them had components to them that weren't that good. And we were able to actually start marrying things together that we didn't even know, could be put together. And so the conversation kind of went from look how much we're learning from one another to imagine we got the industry all in one place and got them to all start talking and opening up the way we do with each other. That is essentially how Insurance Soup was born. We were siloed at that point. I was in State Farm groups. Taylor was in Farmers groups. There were Allstate groups there. You had your IAOA that was bringing independent owners together. You had your life insurance, but there was nowhere where the industry was coming together and just being transparent, essentially. And that is the why and the how of how Insurance Soup started. What it's evolved to since that point has been something substantially different. So, like I had just mentioned, Taylor and I, when we first got this thing started, we did it selfishly to learn from the industry. Like, the two of us, we're just, two dopes with beards that occasionally have something semi-smart to say, but, get the entire industry in the room together, and there's going to be a lot to learn from a lot of people. And so that's ultimately what we did. And within a couple of months of us getting Insurance Soup up and off the ground, the one thing that Taylor and I were very good at, was Facebook ads and generating leads and all that kind of stuff. So, in an effort to get the audience talking and to get the group talking, because whenever you start a new community on Facebook, everyone in there just kind of sits there and like looks like you're looking around at everybody else not talking. So like we needed to provide value. We needed to get those conversations going. So we leaned in the area that we were strong with, and that was the lead gen stuff. We didn't have an offer. We didn't have anything we were selling. There was none of that going on. We had no intentions of monetizing the group. And ultimately, the amount of people that were showing significant interest around learning how to, use the ad platforms on social media became so unbelievably intense that it became a matter of like, if we don't monetize this, the agencies are going to get crushed, because we're spending so much time in this Facebook group right now that our businesses aren't even really getting the kind of attention that it needs. So ultimately, we decided that we had to monetize the stuff that we were starting to talk about and whatnot in order to make it all make sense. And our very first business together, Career Agent Concepts, took off like a rocket, had a tremendous, tremendous ride. We've helped over 5,000 agents. We've gone through a little bit of a rebrand along the way, but we started by teaching the social platforms and advertising and all that kind of stuff. But what has evolved since that point has been nothing short of tremendous. We've been very lucky to build a lot of trust with a lot of people over the years. And we basically decided with the trust that we built that we were going to use it as a way to bring world-class solutions to the people that trust us. So from CAC, where we were teaching marketing, the next natural step was in offering the back end to the lead gen, which was the automation. What's going to nurture those leads as they're coming in. So we started offering a communication platform, and then from there, we introduced a award-nominated chatbot. We've brought an opportunity for agents to now open an agency through us. We've got 200 plus carriers with a number of different contracts, great overrides, the whole nine. Plus, we bring a lot of our education and solutions to the agents that come on under us as well. So that's an added benefit of coming through us versus just getting contracts.
So it sounds like it started out just as like a Facebook group idea to get people talking, and it's turned into like a whole organization. Is that correct?
Yeah,
It
I mean,
has.
at this.
And the
Go ahead,
reason
Taylor. I've been
is
talking.
no, the reason is early on we realized if we put our ear to the ground and just, listen to what the agents are asking for, they'll tell you, what they want and what they need. A lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, when they create something, it's a good idea to them, but they don't know if there's going to be a line of people interested, how long that line's going to be. We like to kind of reverse engineer that and say, hey, there's a long line of agents asking for X. Either we can create X and provide it to them, or X already exists. Let's go find the best solution and bring awareness so that agents are utilizing the best. And that's what we've been able to do since the beginning. Is once, twice a year, we'll actually ask the audience, what's something that's missing from your agency? What would make your life easier? What would help you write more business, retain more business? And that's where we focus, the next 12, 24 months.
How have you seen the needs of agents? Like, how has that changed over the years?
It's definitely changed and evolved
Significantly, quickly as well.
Our industry, I still feel, is a decade or more behind, but the tech of our industry is developing and evolving at a very rapid pace. And the awareness of the tech from the agent side has become, I think it's at an all-time high. You go back.
I think you're right, Taylor. It's not just awareness, but now it feels like if you're not embracing it, the gap's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
It's because it's moving so quickly that it's one of those that if you don't jump on, by the time you decide, you're trying to play catch up, and it's overwhelming for the agents that are listening that haven't, adopted tech. It's never too late. You've got to start somewhere, and to take an agency that isn't, tech focused and try to do that overnight is impossible. But there's some amazing tech solutions out there, and it's not, this one is going to solve everything in the agency. It's, where do you need the improvement? Where can that help this one, particular vertical within the agency, and focus there, take it one bite at a time.
So I've had the unique experience of being able to see the engagement online, but also see it in person by attending Soup Live with you guys this year. And I got to say, I actually attended 32 events this year. Soup Live is one of them. And
You were busy.
I was a little busy, but I will tell you, it is one that I won't soon forget. That's for sure. And it's not, there's a lot of great things about Soup Live, and I could go on about the incredible venue that you put together, and the speakers were ridiculous. They absolutely were. And they were varied and gave really solid things that you could implement today. It wasn't theory. It was like straight up, what can you do? But honestly,
weren't you a speaker?
I'm not talking about myself, but nah. But
you were phenomenal. You're a complete dynamo up there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But my point is, like, I was humbled to be among so many, and they were agent speakers, there were industry speakers, there was a wide variety. But again, that's not the thing that I'm going to remember most. It's the community that I'll remember most. And honest to God, I saw it online, but when you feel it in person, it's the craziest thing. And I think it goes back to you guys created a trust that is unmatched, in my opinion. So talk to me about how you did that. Like, what did that look like, and how did that evolve over time? And just, I don't know, what's the secret sauce? Because it doesn't exist everywhere. I'll tell you that.
I'd like to say that Mike and I were very strategic and, planned out, from day one where we wanted Soup to be in 2020. But I would be completely lying. The one thing, if I had to contribute one thing that has led to where things are, it's from the very beginning, we agreed that we will only do what's best for the agents first and foremost before we ever consider ourselves or the business. And by doing that,
the amount of stuff we've turned down over the years.
Oh, yeah, we've had some great opportunities that would have made a hell of a lot of money, but would have been short term, or was more beneficial to us than the agent. And we've taken a lot of passes.
Alignment with the owner.
Yeah, and so by always putting the agents first, we've been able to show we truly are. We love this industry, and we want to be a voice for the agent, to help the agents, and they're always just trying to look out for the agents, because there's a lot of companies out there, that are focused on only them, and the agents get, kind of the short end. We want the agents to win.
I think there's a couple of things that are in play as well that add to that as well. So like in the very beginning, when we had absolutely no intentions of monetizing whatsoever, we ran the group like the Wild Wild West.
Oh, it was a circus. It's still a circus.
It's still a circus, but basically, if anyone was doing anything that was a little bit suspect, if they were trying to sell something, if they were really getting on another agent, if they were being a jerk to someone, you name it, we basically wouldn't really stand for it, and we would take them and we would basically put them up in front of the group, hold them up in front of the group, alongside a photo of a medieval executioner, and basically lay out their offense and ask the audience, what they thought we should do with them. And you don't know it until you find out yourself. But insurance agents are some of the most bloodthirsty humans on the planet. They want to see heads roll. They love it. I could take a random person in soup right now and say, who wants to see a head roll just to see the head roll? And there'll be 100 people that are like, roll it.
Yeah.
So we're not the nicest group, when given the opportunity. That early stage where we set the tone that there were certain things that just weren't going to fly created an environment that now self-polices.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that early stage because earlier you had mentioned early stage, it was really hard to get people to interact and share. Do you have a requirement now that you like? Are there requirements to be in the group? Like you have to share this much, you have to act this certain way, all these things. It's just you can join and you can be a spectator forever.
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
There's
The one thing that you can do is take the business that we've built inside the group and disrespect it by basically trying to operate your own business within our business. So like
Okay.
we don't let outside vendors in. We don't let agents that have got something that they came up with 2 weeks ago that one person's tried so far, get in front of the audience and say, buy my stuff. We don't let any of that fly. Uh, but but getting back to the whole question around building trust and whatnot, I think one of the reasons that we were able to build trust and that we're still able to build trust is even though we have got this big community where we've got the 52,000 people in right now, like how do you build trust with a stadium full of people? Like you
Yeah.
can't. It's very difficult. But behind the scenes of Insurance Soup, what you don't see is each one of our services, each one of our offerings and whatnot have smaller, more intimate communities. And in those smaller, more intimate communities of 200, 500, where it's like, tight and topically it is uniform. We're all talking about the exact same thing in here. We talk about marketing in here. We talk about chatbots in here. We talk about automation in here. We talk about the agencies that have all opened up under our organization here. What that does is within that larger group of 52, you've got smaller, very tight knit families. So it's like,
I gotcha.
Carrie, Lindsay, I'll ask. I don't know if Girl Scouts works that way. Were
Yeah.
you in Girl Scouts?
Hmm?
In Boy Scouts, you've got like the den meeting, and then you've got like the pack meeting. If that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like our smaller groups are like the dens, and soup is the pack.
got it.
yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
to answer it directly, Lindsay, there's a little over 52,000 in the group, but on a rolling 28 day period, there's an average of 36 active. So that there's still 16 that may not show up, this month, that'll pop in next month, or they're in and they're just not liking, commenting, or posting. They're just a fly on the wall. And there's a lot of
Which
agents.
given
Yeah, there's a lot that have been in the group for years that have never posted, never commented, but they're in it every single day. They read, maybe they don't want to post because they don't want, to seem like, they're not educated on the topic they feel like they should be, but they're getting value from something else someone else, posts. So there's a lot that are flies on the wall that, don't interact, but are there in the community and are able to benefit.
So I guess one of the reasons I brought up Soup Live is because I get to see a lot of different events. I get to see a lot of different agents get in a room and try to learn with each other. And Soup Lives is very, very unique. But Insurance Soup is very, very unique. It's consistent. I think I see Mike post daily, sometimes multiple times a day in Insurance Soup, but I also see agents posting places I've ever seen. And, I was part of an association for several years. We thought about creating a Facebook group, and I think we did at one point, but it wasn't consistent. Therefore, it didn't get engagement, it didn't get traction, it didn't get things like that. And I guess the thing I'm thinking is we're all trying these things. We're all trying to help agents learn. We're all trying. I think we all have the same intent, but it feels very fragmented in our industry. And what the result is, agents have a million different choices that are competing for their time, money, and attention. You guys have found a way to bring the largest number of agents together. Is there a world where we could do that across the industry and make it easier for agents to find the solutions and find each other. What do you guys think about that?
I definitely think it's possible. It's what we've tried to do with Soup to, as much as we're able to, kind of being the admins of it. I feel our industry, though, until we put aside our best interest and we, look out for each other, to unify and to really make progress is difficult because, it's that whiffle effect is, what's in it for me? We can't view it that way. If we want to take the industry and advance it and bring it up to speed and really, create what's best for everyone, we have to look out for everyone.
Yeah,
What do you think,
absolutely.
Mike? Yeah.
When Insurance Soup first got up and off the ground, we weren't received with open arms by other people that were hosting communities. The communities that were out there were relatively siloed. They were carrier driven or line of business driven, and Taylor and I were the first at the time only people that were literally looking to bring everyone into one room. What happens when you get a lot of people in a room on social media? People that have offerings, can't help themselves. And we were not allowing anyone to sell anything in Soup. We were not allowing it to be monetized. Like we hadn't monetized it at all yet. There was no plan outside at that point, of just kind of selfishly getting the industry in the room together and getting them talking so we could learn. It wasn't like let's make money. It was like let's learn. And so, ultimately, when we were trying to keep this environment pure and clear and void of offers and snake oil and all that kind of stuff, there were some bumps along the way where some people that had legitimate offerings were not allowed to be in Soup because A, we didn't know them, B, they weren't building it, and C, we had no idea whether their offer was legitimate or bunk or anything like that. As a result, there were some relationships that took a little longer to develop than they should have. One thing that I would say I'm very proud of us about, the last couple of years is we have really kind of come out of our own little bubble that we've created. And I call it a little bubble. It's not a little bubble anymore. It's a pretty damn big bubble. But over the last, call it 24 months, we have been more open and in fact, probably eager is a better word to get out there and start, really getting to know some of the people that in the earlier days we looked at as competition or people that may even have not liked us or had it out for us a little bit. And we have begun transitioning a lot of those relationships from adversarial to, someone that we're standing side by side with within the industry. I think it's something that, personally, Taylor, you and I have never really talked about it, but it's like from a personal standpoint, has been tremendously eye-opening, both in terms of the amount of help we could have been providing by having some of these relationships sooner, but also, it's very funny, online relationships, right? Online relationships are, in most cases, good until that first bump in the road. And then so many of us, when we have that first bump in the road with someone who, will be on a post saying like, oh, I love Carrie Bell Wallace. Like she's the best. And then the very first bump in the road, all of a sudden it's like, we're not friends anymore. And I feel like that we have done a good job kind of allowing ourselves the space to become friendly with people we didn't give a chance. And I think we have also learned along the way that because we've gotten out quite a bit over the years and we've been fortunate to have been asked to speak and be on podcasts, all this kind of stuff, that someone who may have a sharp tongue on social media, when you get in front of them and shake their hands, you have a real, holy crap, this is someone I would have a beer with. This is someone that like, maybe we had a 30-second exchange on social media that made us like this. But now that we've spent 2 minutes of real world together, like I want to put my arm around this guy and I want to be friends with this person. So yeah. I think that those experiences have really allowed us to open up to the industry where we at one point were a little bit more closed off. I think it's a lesson that others can learn too.
Yeah. So
we're not everyone's cup of tea. We're not typical insurance agent, that someone would imagine. And in the early stages, our give a shit was a lot less, than it is now. And because of it, it was a circus. It still is. We've reined it in, and it's taken a while, like Mike said, to form some relationships that would have been, extremely valuable. But we siloed, kind of ourselves in our environment and didn't look outside of it. And it's definitely been eye-opening, because online and even in real life, we've sat across from the table, Carrie. I'm a very blunt and straight, to the point. I've been told I'm an asshole in numerous
Not
scenarios.
by me. Definitely not by me.
By more people than just me.
Yeah, more than just Mike. But it's just, I'm a very blunt and to the point. And, on social, that's perceived as a certain way, when in person, you're able to actually get to know the person. And it's Mike and I talk about that every time we go to an event. We'll meet someone that has vocally not liked us on social, and by the time we leave, we're friends, and we're like, why did it take 4 years for this to happen? So Soup Live has really provided a platform to forge relationships. Every year we say, hey, we should invite so and so and see if they'll come. And
let's get that person that hates us up on stage.
Yeah.
I think you should absolutely give them a platform. Like, I think that's also the cool thing. Like, Lindsay, you weren't there, and I hope next year when I go, we go together, because it was the coolest thing. This whole group of people are wearing taco shirts, and I'm like, damn, I really wish I would have known that there were going to be taco shirts here. I would have supported a taco shirt myself. Like, it's this crazy connection, and like, nobody leaves in the middle of it. They are there for all of the receptions, there for the entire thing. It didn't like fan out the second day. If you guys saw that, I definitely didn't see that. So the normal things you see at events don't happen because they genuinely want to be with each other as well. And they're there to learn. Like, they're focused and paying attention. I mean, they were super great crowd, but it is like all walks of life. You see a wide variety of people. If someone says this industry isn't diverse, they've not been looking, because it's pretty damn diverse. I will tell you that for sure.
It is.
There's no two ways around that, right?
One thing that we've heard from a lot of people in our audience is that we make people feel like it's okay to be themselves. And they don't, like, I mean, I'm here right now in like a t-shirt, hoodie. Taylor is in his uniform. This is literally what the man wears every single day of his life. Like, you can call him on Christmas morning, and he's unwrapping gifts with his kids dressed like that.
I'm not.
No, you know what? There was a weekend where I hit you up and you were wearing a red t-shirt, and I didn't even recognize you.
It throws me off. Okay, normally the weekend I'll grab a black Under Armour polo or something just so I'll feel at home. It makes life easy when you don't have to make decisions on what you wear. So,
absolutely.
So let me ask you one final question to both of you, because I think this is really important. And honestly, we've spent some time together. We've actually been in a mastermind together. And I think the biggest learning comes from mistakes. No doubt about it. So if you had to say one of the biggest mistakes you guys made in your career that you learned from, what would that be? And what was the lesson?
Biggest mistake? I'll let you go first, Mike. I'm going to put a lot of thought into this.
I need a second.
Ooh, I love that I can stump you guys. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to go through. Page 17. No, I'd say kind of, we've already talked about it, is we stayed in our own bubble for years. And although the group grew large and we felt like, we weren't in a bubble, like forming the relationships and realizing as big as Soup, even when it hits its peak, there's still corners of the industry that we don't know, that we haven't experienced. There's brilliant minds out there. And I'd say waiting so long to forge relationships that can help the industry as a whole is probably what I'd say one of our biggest mistakes.
Yeah, I would agree there. I would say one of the biggest mistakes of my career was not getting into being an entrepreneur sooner. I think I knew in my heart that that's who I was for a very, very long time, but I was raised in a manner that it wasn't don't chase your dreams, but it was like seek something stable and conservative, if that makes sense.
Play it
And
safe.
yeah, play it safe. And I am completely unmanageable. Like,
Tell me about it.
uh, we're partners. I hope that's how you view it. But if you've been trying to manage me, that would explain why you're so disappointed all the time.
See
But
why he only never makes decisions about his attire? He's worried about you, my friend. Yeah, I'm
well,
kidding.
you know what? There's reason to worry about me, but realistically, not getting into entrepreneurial life sooner. I do always look for bigger, better, faster, and more ways to do things. And when you're working in corporate environments, the imaginative guy with the big yapper is not someone that is embraced, because he's not the soldier that's just falling in line and doing it how the 18 other thousand people that all have the same title and position that you have are doing it. So I think the biggest mistake that I made in my career was not recognizing that I don't fit into your typical box sooner.
I would actually say that's the same for me, Mike. I waited far too long to bet on myself, and I'm super glad I did it eventually. But it's interesting how, I think we're all wired to do all kinds of stuff, but we are surrounded by entrepreneurs, and it's hard when you're in that environment not to get that urge and make that happen. So, well, I appreciate you both coming on and sharing so much. If agents don't know who you guys are and they want to reach out, how do they what's the best way to find you guys?
Best way is to join the Facebook group Insurance Soup. If you search it and you can't find it, it's because you've screwed up along the way and got blocked. Reach out to Mike and I, shoot us a message. You can go to the Insurance Soup, navigate through, the many different areas there. But that's really the best way is, social isn't just a place that we go to be social. It truly is our business. So that's the easiest way to find us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, you guys. I really appreciate it.
No, thank y'all for having us.